a story about Billy Joe and Bobby Sue. Go on, take the money and run. Go on, take the money and run. Go on, take the money and run. Take the money and run.
It's like you're getting away with something. New Crunchwrap Sliders. Crunchy Fritos, craveable flavors, just for $1.
Go on, take the money and run. Take the money and run.
It's like you're getting away with something. New Crunchwrap Sliders. Crunchy Fritos, craveable flavors, just for $1.
Go on, take the money and run. Take the money and run.
It's like you're getting away with something. New Crunchwrap Sliders. Crunchy Fritos, craveable flavors, just for $1.
Go on, take the money and run. Take the money and run.
It's like you're getting away with something. New Crunchwrap Sliders. Crunchy Fritos, craveable flavors, just for $1.
Go on, take the money and run. Take the money and run.
It's like you're getting away with something. New Crunchwrap Sliders. Crunchy Fritos, craveable flavors, just for $1.
Alright, let's get this
Go on, take the money and run. Take the money and run.
It's like you're getting away with something. New Crunchwrap Sliders. Crunchy Fritos, craveable flavors,
go.
just for $1.
Welcome to the Elite Dangerous Newbie stream. If you're jumping in and hanging out, hopefully this thing will be getting going here pretty quickly.
It's like you're getting away with something. New Crunchwrap Sliders.
Alright. Just getting the last minute setup going. Yeah, I don't know why it's doing that. You should be getting me pretty soon. So we're going to be answering questions out of the chat. Hopefully that gets straightened out. I might stop it and restart it just to see if the ad is continuing to be a problem. Going? Yeah, I don't know why it's doing that. Okay, looks like it's cleaned up. Alright, so this is a newbie stream of Elite Dangerous, just kind of showing my setup and kind of what's going on. Elite can have a couple different modes as you're going into it. I've been playing mostly in open play. You can also play in solo, which does not have other players in the world, but there are two things with this. One, the universe is vast, so you're not going to run into people that often. Two, they tend to instance individual areas like space stations and, you know, the larger systems that you're in. So even if there are people in your area, you're not necessarily going to run into tons of them. So the difference between open play and solo is kind of minimal. I'm actually going to go into open play, and from what I've seen, you get the same ships in open play or solo, so you can kind of go back and forth depending on how you want to do this. As we're going through this, feel free to throw questions to the chat of any kind, and I will try to answer as best I can from my own instance. From GameTech, I have a question. Is there a mod yet showing a flyby of your ship while playing Bon Jovi's Raise Your Hands? That would be very nice. You cannot see outside your ship. That's kind of the only thing that some people have been like, well, why can't you? You can't actually get outside your ship and view it the way you can in EVE Online or in a couple other places. It's designed for you to primarily be in here around your cockpit. And as has been noted, this is also a very good demo for the Oculus Rift, because, you know, if you have a head tracker or if you have Oculus, you're looking around. I'm using my mouse look right now, so you can freely kind of scan around the cockpit just like you were using a head tracker or Oculus Rift. And as you can see, these panels on the side here on the left and right pop up as you look towards them. And when they pop up, you actually, your controls snap to them, so you can move around. Like I'm in my contacts thing now, looking about here inside the station I'm at, which is Russell Rimshot Ring. There's also over here your stats with different factions around the galaxy. You have all your individual modules, and you can adjust the power that's available to them. Power groups and fire groups for, right now I have just a couple of pulse lasers on this Eagle, which is a nice little fighter ship that I just bought, as well as a discovery scanner, which we'll go into. But I can basically line up different weapons to different fire groups, or I could even get in and adjust how they're set up. So right now my pulse lasers on this fire group 1 are both set to pull off my primary trigger, and the basic discovery scanner is set to go off of my secondary trigger, which, now that I'm thinking about it, I kind of want to keep that, because then I don't have to switch between groups all the time. And with that, let me show you a little bit about my setup here. I'm going to swing the camera around, so this might be a little tough to see on the little screen. I have got a Sidewinder Extreme 3D Pro from Logitech. I've got my Razer Naga, and then I've got a Nostromo N52 gamepad. Hello cat. I decided to use the gamepad instead of splurging for a hands-on throttle assist, because I just didn't have the money, one. And two, I saw some people using gamepads as a secondary thing, and it was actually working pretty well. And I'm kind of enjoying it. It's like having a nice little keyboard, little side keyboard off to the side, which you actually, if you look over here, you can notice he's got the little hands-on throttle. There's also a little keyboard hidden under his hand, I think. So that lets me do what I need to do in the game. I really am glad that I went ahead and bought a flight stick, and I'm really glad I went with budget, because the keyboard on the side is actually doing a lot more for me than just having a granular throttle. If you plan on doing a ton of dogfighting, you want to really be, specific about that, you can have that. But for now, it's working for me. So let's get into the ship and actually do some stuff. As I said, right now I have an Eagle, which is a fighter ship. You can actually see that by going into Starport Services at the fancy Russell Ring and bouncing around to Outfitting or Shipyard. Outfitting will actually be the better look, because it takes you actually into the hangar and shows you your various hardpoints. So these are my pulse lasers on top and bottom, ventral and dorsal, depending. You also have... I have a third hardpoint where I could mount a third gun, but I don't have the money for that yet. I almost broke my bank buying this second ship. I actually have two ships right now. One is a freighter, and one is a fighter. You also have utility mounts where you can put things on, such as chaff launchers, ECM, point defense, including these nice little scanners are actually what I really want to get. I like doing bounty hunting, which we'll talk about in a minute, but you really want to get like warrant scanners or cargo scanners, well, warrant scanners especially. Warrant scanners are very useful in order to connect with not just the system you're in, law enforcement, but multiple systems, and determine, hey, that guy's got a bounty 2 systems over. I'm going to kill him and then go get it. Internal includes stuff like your individual sensors and power couplings, the amount of fuel and cargo you can store, and different scanners that you can have. To do certain tasks, you have to have specific equipment, such as if you want to do any kind of exploration, you have to have a discovery scanner. That might force you to, say, not have the stuff that you would need for a mining ship. So my freighter has a mining setup, which has to have a refinery on board as well as a mining laser. That means I can't use its discovery scanner, because I still want to have like a shield generator and more cargo space to haul tons of ore in or other stuff. And then if I want to, I can jump on here and install some different decals and, paint jobs that you can buy later on. But that's my Eagle, which is a nice little fighter that I'm actually enjoying. It's very nimble. In the shipyard, you can take a look at the other ships that are available, such as transporters. This is actually the ship that I have, a hauler by Zorgen Peterson. It's got tons of cargo capacity and not many hard points, which means I'm using them specifically for mining and space trucking. But you can get, utility craft that can fulfill a lot of different roles. You can get fighter craft. The Sidewinder is the starter ship that you get, which looks basically like a wedge. And then you also can upgrade that to, say, a Cobra is a very, very, very fancy wedge. And it's also a commonly used ship that people like to jump up to. This is the Eagle that I'm using. One thing that I kind of want to get up to is something like a Viper or a larger style ship like a passenger ship, which is basically a massive space limousine, which is really cool. Yo ho ho in the chat, welcome. So, I have a stored ship here that I can switch to or sell at any point, and I have the ship that I am currently in. So, let's see what there is out there to do. Bulletin board will give you certain missions, whether they're available or unobtainable, and it'll also refresh every 5 minutes or so. Missions like this are a good way to raise your faction, you know, your reputation with the local factions. So I have decent reputation with a few people, but not enough to actually raise my standing with them. This one, I think we're going to go ahead and pick up with my fighter. Maybe. Maybe not. So this job is to go to the Yakabukai and Alrai sectors and destroy 3 traders. So, as you said, if you have no problem killing randoms, this mission is for you. The problem is that that's kind of illegal depending on where you go, so I'm probably not going to take that. We may just go out and go find some people and kill them. Like you do. One of the areas, again, that we'll talk about a little bit later, after you see a little flight and actually interesting stuff, is the commodities market, which is mostly NPC run, but whenever you start getting tons of players all working the same area, you can see some changes flip quite a bit. So, for instance, you can see here, there's high supply of hydrogen fuel at this station. There's high or medium supply of clothing at this station, but they have high demand for consumer tech, and they're willing to pay quite a bit. 500 credits above the galactic average. So if I found a system within relatively recent or near jumping distance, I could go pick up some consumer tech in my hauler, come back and flip it for quite a bit of credits. I'm just slowly getting involved into that, and we'll talk about some of the tools that you can use for that later. But for now, let's just get outside and look around. So we're going to launch. And especially if you're doing stuff like trading runs or smuggling, which is possible, then landing and taking off are really the most action that you're going to hopefully see, barring the random interdiction that you run into. So this is the inside of Russell Ring Station. They're about to let me loose. My throttle's not behaving. Zero that out. So you can see the kind of crosshairs there at the bottom of where I'm supposed to land. But now that I'm free, I have to get out of the station within 5 minutes or they will shoot me out of the sky. Retract my landing gear.
Landing gear retracted.
Head through the mail slot. You notice a boost of speed there. Skirt you. When your landing gear is out, your speed will be reduced, which is much more useful for landing. When your cargo scoop, when your landing gear, any of that stuff is out, it's going to be a little harder for you to actually land. I'm just getting away from the station, so I'm no longer mass locked in that bottom right, and now that I'm loose, I'm engaging my super cruise.
Frameshift drive charging.
Currently, we are in local space.
4, 3,
Once we jump to super cruise,
1,
we will be
engage.
looking at the solar system at large. And that's when my Discovery scanner comes online, because I can actually use this to scan around the galaxy that I'm in, or the solar system that I'm in. No, I don't need to slow down. I need to get away from that planet. And see what there is out there. So this is Super Cruise. I'm in the Eravit system, which is actually pretty populated. It's near the starter system that they're currently kicking people into right now. So I can just cruise around, and you can see that sun that's in the center of the system. One thing that's interesting is that you'll notice on the bottom right, my fuel gauge is pretty full. Anytime you start using hyperspace to jump to different systems, which we'll do in a second, you start chunking out your fuel. It is possible to jump to a system so far away that you cannot get back because you don't have enough fuel to make the jump back. Currently, I'm in the solar system, so if I were to actually shoot above the accretion disk for a bit, you can see my speed climbing to the right hand of my radar. Zoom in on that. That 0.7C, that's we're about to cross 1 time the speed of light. You can get up to like 300 times the speed of light, and then you're moving at super, super fast distance. Throttle on the right-hand side. You notice that little blue line. The blue line is the preferred speed for turning. It makes it much easier to turn and angle. So this is a look at the solar system from above. This is the area that we are in. The area of its system has got quite a few different planets and quite a few asteroid belts, as well as several systems along those asteroid belts. And these orbital lines we actually just gain the ability to turn off if we want, but they can be very useful when exploring to kind of get a sense of, okay, if this thing is orbiting like this, then there must be a star within this ring that I'm going to find and scan down. All these little lights you see are actually other ships that are out there. This little guy named Gert is a hauler, harmless, scanned him down, ooh, he's wanted. If I had my full bounty hunting setup, I could zip in behind this guy and then use an interdiction weapon to draw him out of Super Cruise. And then once he's down into local space, I can actually blow him up. Let's explore this for a second. Target that. This is an unidentified signal source, which is basically like a random encounter in a D&D game. These pop up for your ship, and I'm going to adjust my speed and location to get to that. And this is a good example of how you can kind of get in and get out of Super Cruise. You'll notice now that I have it targeted, on the left-hand side we have alignment, distance, and speed. The compass on the top left of my radar is now lined up directly in the center with the signal source. And my distance and speed is slowly dropping. My throttle is connected to that blue line so that it auto-adjusts how fast I'm going based on how close I'm getting. You have to get it within those blue zones, which means less than 1 megameter, I guess, per second, and then less than 1 megameter away. So that number is going to drop rapidly. We're slowly slowing down, and then you're going to see a blue light pop up that says safe disengage ready. And when that happens, 3, 2, 1, you can drop out. So now we're moving back from the solar system down to local space. What do we got here? Just a hauler. So this is probably one of those traders that was in the mission that we were talking about. But he's an NPC, so he's just here. If I were a pirate, then I could cargo scan this guy and see if he had anything valuable inside his cargo. And then I could attack him until he dropped the cargo. Then I could snag that cargo and try to sell it. The problem is it'd be stolen, so I would have a difficult time trying to sell that without being flagged and targeted for being a pirate. So we'll leave this guy alone and jump back out of the system. We'll see if there's any other systems in the area. Especially Anarch systems, because Anarch systems tend to have a little more pirates in them. So, let's slow down a little bit to kind of the minimum speed. And let's look at our map. Pop open the system map to get a look at the larger view of the Aravid system. Now, I'm not paused while this is going on. I'm still flying out in the world. So, this is a look at what you have in the Aravid system. You've got the Class K Sun, the Belt, several planets which really don't mean anything except that they have stations around them. These ring-like stations are actually pretty big stations. They're like the one that we left, Russell Ring. These little ones are more just little outposts. Like, this is a mining outpost that likely doesn't have very many services, but could have some specific things that we could get from them. Like, they might produce minerals, or they might want certain commodities that we can sell for a very good price of them. When you jump into unexplored systems, you won't have all this information, but you can go throughout the system and start scanning it down. So let's get the bigger galactic view. This is the Erebit system in the center that we're currently at. All those multicolored lines you see that are flowing in and out, like these purple lines down here, are all commodities that are available. So, right now, in my trade routes map, I can see that LHS 3447, which is the starter system in this area, or at least was for me, these blue lines that are flowing in and these green lines that are flowing out tell me that over here, machinery, and specifically atmospheric processors, crop harvesters, and marine equipment, that is being sold from Erebit to LHS 3447. The green going back are medicine and food. So I know specifically, not food, that basic medicine, okay, that's actually going in. But see here at Cremain, it's coming out. So that trade route is coming up to Erebit. Ideally, if you want to be a trader, you want to find these trade routes and see what's in your price range and figure out what stations at LHS 3447 will pay enough for you to buy one commodity in Erebit, bring it to LHS, and then have a trade route that takes you back to Erebit so that you can make money coming and going. So yesterday I was running a trade mission on my hauler that required me to go to LHS, find some coffee, buy it, and bring it back to Erebit. I found a trade route for stuff like basic medicines that LHS would pay for. So the mission was worth like 16,000 credits. The coffee that I bought gave me a profit of about 2,000 credits. Then I bought the stuff that I needed in a system to take back to Erebit, which cost me about 3,000 credits. And then I got my 16,000 credit mission reward. So that was, you know, after balancing all that out, I made roughly about 18,000 or so credits of profit off that trip, which was very good. You don't always get those kind of trade missions, but when you do, especially as a hauler, they're very useful to have. So let's go, let's see here, what's the Holorize sector look like? I have system information on that. Anything useful? Yes, this is good. Holorize sector, there are 2 stars that are unexplored, so this is a good place to go and kind of get some exploration data. Exploration data is very useful because you can sell it. The problem is that you have to sell that exploration data way far away from your system that you're currently in. So I'm going to target this or plot route, either one of those, because it's only one jump away, it's not a big deal. And now let's get back to my ship. Hey, what do you know? I'm actually pointing the right direction. That's nice. So I'm going to throttle up just to max. And then I'm going to engage hyperdrive. And unlike Super Cruise, hyperdrive just takes you straight to the system.
Frameshift drive charging.
So that's going to charge up. One thing you have to be careful of when engaging Super Cruise or hyperdrive is that line of sight is not an issue. You don't have a big planet in your way. Otherwise it won't engage. And then we jump into black space. It's not like you can just engage this and walk away, though, because as soon as you do, you're about to fly into a sun. So let's turn away from that. Alright, I have discovered a new astronomical object, which should be that sun. I'm actually going to engage my D-scanner and see if there's anything else in the area. So it's going to shoot out a pulse, and everything within 500 light seconds is going to show up on my radar. Nothing did. So I'm going to target this sun. It's unexplored, and on the left you can see that it's already scanning it down. It'll take it 10, 15 seconds, something like that. Alright, so this is an Anarch section. It's not controlled by the Federation or any other groups. It's a red dwarf star, and that will show up in my system data. I will also have all that data sitting ready for me to use and sell. And now I have an orbital disk here. So I wonder if there's something else along that disk that I can scan down. Because I know there's at least one other star in the system from the system map that I was looking at. And I bet that is it. You notice how that star is brighter than the others? And it's on that line? So we're going to fly towards that star. And then when we get there, scan it down. Star data is worth, generally, I think, more than, like, planet data, but it's all worth something. So, the ideal exploration setup would be a ship that has lots of fuel room, lots of, speed to it, and also has enough equipment on board to be able to quickly find and scan down objects. You can get better exploration scanners, like my Discovery scanner here, which I'm going to power off again. That stretch further out than just 500 light seconds. Really hope that's the right star. It would really suck if I'm just flying this direction for nothing. But I think it is. Hopefully what's going to happen is it's going to start getting bigger. You're going to see like little reflected light particles, and then that's going to be an indicator that yes, that's the correct one. We're picking up a new person. Low tax. Dangerous, but he's clean. Hopefully that's not some pirate waiting to interdict people, which can happen. NPCs can actually try to drag you out of Super Cruise, and if that happens, it'll be a good show of how to deal with that. Basically, a exit vector picks up on your screen, and you have to navigate to stay within that. Otherwise, it'll drag you out. So as you can see from our scanner, we are exceeding about 50 times the speed of light. The sun at the bottom is starting to fade in the background, as well as those two targets. And that star is shifting position, which I really hope indicates that it's the star that we're looking for. And both stars in the system were, I think, reds. We're starting to slow down for some reason, which is odd. There's a mass over here, but... Yeah, you see how that's moving now? Out of the left-hand side of my screen? That means that's definitely the star. So we're going to get close to that, and there's, yeah, that very, very little bits of, like... Yes. That J.J. Abrams lens flare is actually coming in very handy. And hopefully this star has a bunch of stuff around it to explore. Aha! There it is! And now we're close enough to scan it. We don't want to run into it, but we do want to keep it in the center of the screen. We also don't want to run into the damn star, so... Stop that. Out. Okay, now we're scanning it again. So it's another red dwarf star. Yep. And I'm not picking up anything else in this system. That's the other star that's in the system. I don't really see anything along that orbital disk between them. But we keep seeing these ships that are showing up. Mr. 40 Coats. So I could just travel along this orbital disk and see if there's anything that pops up. But there's no... There are no asteroid belts around them. There are no space stations that have shown up. Sometimes, depending on the system, there could be, unauthorized systems in here. But it looks like we found all there is to find here. So let's go somewhere else. I was hoping we might run into some pirates, but I guess it's not going to happen. Ekanir, how far away are you? Alright, that's going to eat up a lot of our fuel. See in the bottom right, now that I have it selected, it's telling me that Ekanir is going to take almost 3 fuel bits away. And if there's not a port there, like there wasn't a space station here, then it would take 3 out, 3 back, and then however much it takes me to jump back. A good rule of thumb is to avoid dropping down to about half your fuel. After that, it starts to get dicey. I have had to blow myself up before because I got stuck. So, the good thing about Ekanir being all the way out here is that, well, there's a trade route coming out of it, which means that very likely is going to be a space station there. So let's just go check it out.
Frameshift drive charging.
Throttle up, engage the hyperdrive. Let's lift some dangers. Hopefully, there might be a few asteroid belts and a mining station, which would also mean that it's likely there could be pirates, NPC pirates anyway, trying to blow up some freighters. And then we can actually get into some pirate action. So at the moment, if you're not really interested in getting involved in the kind of minimal story that's involved in this game, give me some lag, then really you're just looking for reasons to make money and places to make money at. So with a fighter like an Eagle, you could make quite a bit of money as a bounty hunter or even as a pirate by just flying out, scanning down wanted people. Especially as a bounty hunter, you would want to get an interdiction weapon in order to drag them out of super crews, which makes it a lot easier than just standing around waiting for someone to show up. You can actually go hunt some of these people down, like this guy, whoever he is. Are you wanted? You're deadly, so I'm not going to touch you. He's clean. But if I had a bounty scanner, then I might be able to scan him and find out whether or not he actually has bounties in other systems. Oh, crap. 7 new astronomical objects. All of these are planets or other things that are orbiting this star. And all of these are things that we can scan down and then go sell that information. So right now, as an explorer, I make money, potentially, by flying around to all these unexplored systems. Hello, Fetty. Target you, go away. I'm going to target the star that you're flying to, or this planet you're flying to. So you can make money right now just flying around and exploring all these unexplored systems. And then jumping, you have to jump at least 20 light years away from the system that you explored in order to sell the data. And that's 150 light seconds away. Should be able to target that here. Okay, so I've got a couple of stations in the system too, which means I can go fuel up. That's good. Got that locked. And that's kind of on the outer edge. Whoop. Going a little too fast. Yeah, we're going to shoot right past that. And then circle back around. And post up just off. While we scan this down. So the planets aren't going to be worth much in and of themselves. If they have resource allocation zones or resource, like asteroid belts and other places like that, that information might actually be worth a bit more. I haven't had enough experience to be able to say flat out, you know, one thing is definitely worth more than another. Alright. It's a big transport. Heading over here. Just gonna scan some of these things now. So, getting familiar with your contact list and the galaxy map and the system map are very useful no matter what you're going to be doing. If you want to be a pirate, then being able to track down people that are inside the system with you by like jumping over your contacts list and scanning down some of these different things that are in the area. I'm just running into stuff left and right, aren't I? Getting used to Super Cruise is also very useful. One thing that's happened is that I also have what's called Flight Assist turned on, which makes flying around much easier, because it automatically counters, you know, your thrust in various directions. If I did not have Flight Assist on and I'm flying through here on Super Cruise, then I would have to like flip my ship around and apply an equal amount of thrust in the opposite direction just to get me to start slowing down. Yes. Behind me, the compass on the top left of my scanner is what I'm looking at as I target things. When it's a hollow circle, that means something's behind me. When it's a full circle like this I'm lining up now, that means it's right in front of me. It's interesting that no pirates have like jumped up and tried to attack me, but I'm also not carrying anything to be worthwhile. We're just gonna run the last of these down. This is an asteroid belt. So you can see those unidentified signals just popping up around you. And those are guaranteed to show up and spawn every 3 or 4 minutes or so whenever you're flying out in Super Cruise. Supposedly they also appear if you're just moving at the minimum distance, which is like 30k, which is very, very, very slow for Super Cruise. Now that we're less than 5 light seconds away, now it starts scanning. And we already know it's an asteroid field because of the image that's popped up to the left of my radar. If I had a mining ship, I would have to have a refinery and a mining laser, and then I could jump into the asteroid belt and just start ripping rocks up and seeing what's in there. So that's belt cluster 3, which means there's at least 2 more belt clusters around the star. And thankfully, they're all close enough together that I can just point myself and start scanning. So my goal now is to get as much data out of the system as I can, refuel, and then jump 20 light years away to another system and sell off that data. While it's not glamorous per se, it is still very, very, very good money. Let's bounce around the star and check this guy out. The nav beacon is kind of like, you can think of it for the solar system as being a general lobby. There are lots of NPC ships that show up there, and if you're doing a mission in a certain system, like going to kill traders, or going to kill pirates, going to the nav beacon and just hanging out and waiting for those NPCs to spawn is kind of the easiest way to do it without going around and trying out a whole bunch of different those unexplored signal sources and trying to figure out what those are. Alright, so it's another asteroid belt. And those identified signal sources also pop up on your contact list. So it's easy to just jump into Super Cruise and then keep an eye on your navigation, and when one of those pops up, you can target it and go jump it down. And it looks like I've scanned everything in the system, so that's good. Let's go... You know what? Let's go see if there are any pirates hanging out. Trying to find unwary travelers. So now that I've targeted a location like the nav beacon again, you can see that travel information, the speed, the alignment, the distance popping up on the left-hand side. And I can move my throttle within the line, and the computer will automatically start adjusting that. So hopefully we'll be able to see some action here. The thing is that most of the time, people won't just flat out attack you. Sometimes they will, especially if they're a pirate that's dragged you out of Super Cruise with an interdiction drive. Instead, you can target people, scan them down, and if they say wanted, then someone's got a bounty on them, and you're free to engage and try to claim that bounty for yourself. It's dangerous, however, if you accidentally hit another ship and pick up a bounty on your own self, like a 200 credit bounty. Because any time that there's a crime reported or detected, Federation ships will just start showing up. A lot of activity. Type 7 transport. Big guy. Harmless but clean. Who's your escort? Also clean. Generally, harmless or mostly harmless are the easiest, obviously, to deal with. Competents are like this guy, Tim Jordan. He's clean. You'll notice on the radar that a lot of these ships are solid filled dots. They also have names like Vortex or Mr. Whatever. Those are all NPCs. Player characters would always have... Who's scanning me? Vortex? Vortex? Are you a pirate? Nope. What just happened is also a good way to possibly find some pirates. Dark Angel is clean. If you jump into a system like this and you have something in your hold, it could be semi-worthless, it could be, you know, nothing, then some pirates will just automatically scan your hold and say something in your comms on the top left like, hey, what have you got? More treats for me, or finally we can quit this life of crime. Those are good indications those are NPC pirates, and generally you can shoot them down. It is illegal, as far as I can tell, to shoot someone without first ascertaining whether they are a threat or not. So if you scan them down and they're clean, and you start shooting, then that's bad. If you just start shooting them before your scanner registers that they're clean or wanted, though, that's bad. And you'll get flagged, and you'll have to go pay off your fine. That's where piracy comes in, because pirates could make good money shooting people out of the sky, enough to overcome any kind of danger from that. So we don't really have anyone on our radar that's really bad guy. That's that transport we scanned earlier. So we can go back to the nav point, hang out and wait. Simon Beavis. Also clean. Let's see if there's anyone on a contact sheet. No. Tim Coltman. Also clean. High-energy wakes like this are what's left behind when someone takes a jump out of the system. If you have the right scanner, you can also target these and scan them down to show where whoever just jumped out of the system went. And then you can go track them down. Because there are pirates who, when you start fighting them, after you blow them up, will jump out. Oh, we got a fight going on. Yes, you are. let's jump in on this. Hard points are deployed. I am going to constantly adjust my... Oh, you're a big guy, too, so you're going to deploy something. Whoop! Not good! That ain't good.
Target shields offline.
Thankfully, my shields are up, or that could have been very bad. So, the things I am adjusting right now are my weapon energy and drive energy, which are this just to the right of my shield indicators. You can see my pulse lasers are overheating pretty quickly. Don't want to hit you. God, guys, get away from him. He's got 77% hull. One thing I like about the Eagle is when you really rev the engines up, you can hear it gunning it like it's a Harley. There we go. It's useful to have a mix. Oh, who ran into me? You
Under attack.
idiots! What are you doing? It's a scrum now. Everybody wants in on this. Lasers are very good to take down shields. Not so great at taking out hull. So my last bounty hunting setup had one laser, like these pulse lasers, and then on my secondary fire I had cannons, which shot actual physical organs. Again, really? Really? Learn to fly, AI. There you go. Okay. I need to recharge my shields. So I'm going to disengage. Put that fire out. Just kind of spin around for a second. Then re-engage. My shield is recharging. The system's power option is how I can boost that. Which means I am not going to be able to fire off as much as I want
Target
to.
shields online.
So he's dropping his
Target
target.
shields offline.
That's all those white things that start showing up. Ah! I'm at 64% hull, which is going to cost me something, so hopefully this guy's going to make it more. Now that my shields are back up, I can readjust, except now shooting directly at me. Throttle is a big consideration whenever you're maneuvering about. And again, that's where that blue really comes in handy. Because if you can keep it within the blue, the light blue, oh man, he's blowing some people up. Or they're running into each other, which is more likely. So if you don't try to jump out of the system. This guy's a master. Notice that.
Target shields.
Perfect.
Target destroyed.
Okay, so that was very useful. So this has been a very, very good venture. That's a 23,000 credit bounty, which is very good. And probably a split of his overall bounty, because as a master class ship, that's worth quite a bit. So as you can notice, a lot of things are happening all at once. My shields are currently recharging. The system weapon down here on the bottom, or the system energy on the bottom right, is where that energy is coming from to power those up. That means I have less energy in my engines and less energy in my weapons. I can move energy out of the weapons now that the fight's over, and then back over to that. I'm doing all that through the hat switch on my joystick. So through the fight, I was adjusting my throttle up or down, trying to keep it within that blue range whenever I wanted to really, curve quickly, and then throttling up when necessary. So, let's go to one of these in-system stations.
Cannot comply.
I need to put my hard points up, retract my weapons, and then jump.
Frameshift drive charging. 4, 3, 2, 1. Engage.
So let's jump over to Moray Vision, repair our ship, see if we can turn in this bounty, and refuel. Because Moray is a little outpost and not a big station, docking can become a problem because it likely only has 2 or 3 pads, and if there are multiple people in system trying to dock at the same time, you wind up sitting in a holding pattern. Because, however, this is an NPC system, I'm going to jump right past this again if I'm not careful. That's less of an issue. Yeah, I know, slow down. I'm going to curve around and come back to this thing. So as you can see, you can't just jump into light speed and then ignore what's going on around you. You actually have to work at it. I discovered the astronomical object. Is it you? No. Is it you? Oh, no. I have to find that explorer. So let's put this on. Auto cruise. Fly. Little nice touches, you see the contrails that are coming off those Fed ships that are flying by. You get nice little like tinkle effects as their dust hits your cockpit. Start a civil war. Doesn't have to be a civil war. Alright. Gun it in. Moray Vision. So as we get closer, we're going to put in a docking request.
Docking request granted.
And I have 10 minutes to get to landing pad 3, which looks like that little orange spot right on the top. So I'm going to get close, line up my approach, and then deploy my landing gear. Ah, you're a pirate outpost, aren't you? So this might not be able to turn in this bounty. Because yo-ho-ho. Landing gear down. Throttle back. And then this is where I'm going to start using vertical thrusters, which I have bound on a couple of the keys on my stick. And it's going to give me a little... Yep. Little guide. Don't want to come in too fast.
Docking successful.
And it grabs you.
Engines disengaged.
Good tip if you're going to be flying, always enter the hangar. Even if you're not going to be sticking around for too long, it clears the pad for other people. Don't be a dick. Which is what I've run into in these things the most. People just kind of fly in, and then they hit the pad, and then they're sitting there for like 3 or 5 minutes, and I'm sitting here just going, just park already. Alright, so let's go into Starport Services and see if we can trade this bounty. Again, likely not. Always refuel, which costs 77 credits. Repair, almost 500 credits. So we're already 550 or so down. Contacts. Local security office. Yes! Redeem. And you saw how low my balance was. It was just over 10,000 credits after I bought that Eagle. So already we're starting to pay it off. Alright. Universal Cartographics are the people that you would want to sell your exploration data to. However, as you can see, so this is going to be worth about 1,700 credits. I have to travel 20 plus light years away from the original system in order to... Oh no, that's going to be... Yeah, that's going to be about 6,300 credits. That's better. I have to travel 20 plus light years away in order to trade it. So we're done here. We're going to launch. We'll go run down that last system to explore. And then we'll start the journey to try to sell this off.
Ship released. Engines engaged.
Vertical up. Throttle out. Landing gear up.
Landing gear retracted.
And then we're just going to jump into Super Cruise. Which means I need to throttle away from the station so that I'm not longer fast locked. So you can see, it's a really kind of granular space sim as opposed to the MMORPG of EVE Online. There's no skills to train. There are reputations that you can raise. So if I wanted to buy like some super nice Imperial passenger cruisers and just very rich people around the universe all the time, I would have to spend some serious time developing my reputation. Where's that unexplored? Dang. Darn it, you said I had something. Let's try this again. Maybe not. Alright. Nope, there you are. You're what's unexplored. You are almost out of range, dude. So we're gonna bop over to the other side of the system and see what's there. Aha. So we have a... Wow. So there's a second star in the system we haven't even explored. A Class T brown dwarf. That is interesting. Might be difficult to find, but we'll give it a shot. Because more stars is more money. So if you want to get really kind of deeply involved with what you can do in Elite, you know, as far as like your individual setup goes, there are people who have like head tracker displays so that they can move around and look around their cockpit without actually having to use the mouse. I kind of like having it specifically stuck forward, and then if you want to, you know, poke around, you can. But they have done a really nice job of making the cockpits look nice. There are some that actually have multiple seats for like pilots or co-pilots or navigators or other things like that, even though you'll probably never actually have the ability to put two players in the same cockpit. It'd be nice, but that seems like something way down the road, because they've got plenty of other stuff they gotta fix first. So we're gonna scan this guy down. Drop another D-scan. See if we can get lucky on that dwarf star. And that was Ekanir 4. And we think we've got the rest of you. Just gotta find you. If you thought spotting a nice big red or yellow star was tough, try spotting a round dwarf. So let's head across the accretion disk and see what we see. Could be you. fly this way and see what we got. Do frequent scans. Maybe we get lucky. As you can see, the star, when we're looking at it, has another orbital line that pops up, which then goes away. Pretty sure that orbital line is the one that's connected to the star, which is also kind of shifting, so that leads me to believe that's the star we're looking for. The good thing is I'm not likely going to be spending a whole lot of fuel doing this. Aha! Yeah, planet. Which can help us potentially find that star. Let's scan you down to see. So all this is making me very, very antsy to go sell this. A5, which means you're attached to the other star, aren't you? Yeah. Econeer A. So you can see how suddenly what looked like an empty system when we showed up now is, you know, an actual decently full mining system. We also have this fed ship. Where are you going? Moving at 40 times the speed of light. Give this a bit, and then once we throttle up pretty high, we'll see if we can potentially, if we don't spot it in the next minute, we'll turn around. Because it's really tough to try to figure out which of these are actually stars that are in the system, and which are just part of the light lines. You can also sometimes, I'm told, get lucky by, you know, looking at it like this. Then you can see things that are moving relative to your position. So if I were to go off course here just a little bit. Yeah, that star's not exactly moving. Can't tell if that's the optical illusion or not. But we're moving at 112 times the speed of light, so I would imagine it'd start moving here pretty quickly. So let's turn around. Unidentified. You're the star I want. Where are you going? Let's target Econeer A. Maybe that might help. So we've got this disc. Pretty big, honestly. That star is almost on it. Yeah. I guess we'll just let it ride. These guys are flying somewhere. Nothing else really within range. And like I said, these just randomly pop up as you fly about. good sign that we were headed towards something was that our speed started decreasing overall because we were getting within the mass shadow of something. And so far that's not happening. We're about to pass 200 times the speed of light. We're just moving pretty damn quick. And I keep picking up these new contacts. I don't think that they're just random NPCs. I think they may actually be spawning or something around here. And that really is the only red star that I've seen. So we'll just trust our instincts. Oh, there went the accretion is, which means we are very likely not headed in the right direction. So let's flatten this out. Take another pass. There's a potential candidate. Yeah, I haven't found a brown dwarf before. Part of me really wants to. We'll call it good. Alright. Time to hit the road. So we are in Ekanir. We want to get pretty far away. I think Frigg over here's got... maybe not. LHS is pretty far away, and it's got some stations for sure. And then it's connected to others that do too. Let's give that a shot. Trying to exit safe. Alright. Engage
Frameshift
hyperdrive.
drive charging.
So we're moving almost 400 times the speed of light.
Ready to engage.
And that's still not fast enough to be able to move in between systems. We have to do this. Which is one of the interesting things about Elite, is that it's so set up to be this, you know, very close model of what it's actually like flying through the Milky Way. Oh, really? Man, I'm gonna have to tag this and come back later. Where am I at? I am in. You know what? Let's scan that star. Erebit next. So this is another Alarai sector. We're headed to Erebit.
Frameshift drive charging.
And I'll probably just log off in Erebit just to end the stream there. Oh, no, it's only one jump past that, so we'll do that.
4, 3, 2, 1. Engage.
One of the other interesting things about Elite is that the designers at Frontier were saying that your always online connection, which is happening whether you're in solo play or whether you're in normal play. That always online connection is not a big deal because it's only sending out little tiny kilobytes of information at any time. Like, the guy who was designing it said that you could literally run this thing on a 3G connection on a train, and it would still stay connected. Whether that's been tested or not, I don't know. But it runs very well on my computer. My computer's not like super top.
4, 3, 2, 1, engage.
LHS should be our last stop, because I believe it's going to be far enough away for me to be able to sell this data. I hope at least. There's a good station. Ugh, Lawson. Lawson is way the hell out there. Let's go to Dalton Gateway. Which is also way the hell out there. So as an example of a decently large system, this is where we're currently at, which has 2 big stars, quite a few planets, with tons of moons, and several different systems. So this, as a starter system, makes a pretty good home base, because you have, you know, quite a few different types of systems, or stations in the area to work with, if you want to run around picking up bounty missions, or other types of bulletin board missions. You have 2 different types of asteroid belts to go run through. And it's in a decent enough area that's connected to some other transportation hubs like Erebit and others that are in the area. So it's not a bad starting point. And if you wanted to, it would take you a while. But you could make your way to the Sol sector, which is somewhere. So, yeah, you saw, this is where we're at, over here in LHS. As we zoom out, you can see more and more and more of these systems. As we zoom further out, there's Sol. Way over here! There it is. There's our home planet. Which is all the way out there. And is also pretty busy as far as systems and stations go. Like 3 stations all on Earth. Wow. And terraform Mars if you want to go see Mars. But that is super, super, super way far away from where we're at. Like, if we wanted to fly all the way out there, that would be hellacious. And all of that is only impressed in this little tiny bit of the spiral arm. That's insane to think about them filling all that stuff in. You can jump over to the Sol system, and you can jump pretty far away. It's just, it takes a lot of time and travel, and you have to make it worth it. There are a handful of systems in those areas that are what are called conflict zones, which are much easier if you want to make a start off, like repping up with a certain faction, getting involved in the storyline that's going on. You can jump into a conflict zone, pick a side, and then just start blowing up ships that are the opposing factions. That's what you'll see in a lot of, like, getting started videos. The problem is, though, that you've got to get to those zones. And from the starter areas that you're currently in, that's a pretty long haul to get over to some of those conflict zones. You can do it. It just has to be something that you're really set out to do. And there's also an area where you're more likely to run into bunches of players, because when someone goes online and says, hey, this is where a conflict zone is at, people tend to flock and congregate there. So if that's the kind of experience you're looking for, that's a good place to start. And we're slowly trucking our way to Dalton. passing 94,000 light seconds. But we're also picking up speed as we get closer, so hopefully that'll start shaving off that distance pretty quickly. And then we begin the process of deceleration, disengage, and then we can jump into the system. Dock, refuel, and hopefully sell off our exploration data. And then it's back out the next time that we play to either pick up some bounty missions, make enough money to buy that interdiction weapon that I was talking about, possibly pick up some better weapons in general, and then just start cruising around looking for bounties. So if you want to make money as a bounties, that's, you know, kind of what you do. You jump out, you look for people that are wanted, and shoot them down. Or you take missions that involve hunting down people. If you want to be a trader, then it's a little more self-directed. You can actually, you know, scan through the markets and find deals and then set up trade routes between stations. If you want to be an explorer, that's a lot of flying around and a lot of time in super cruising, a lot of time avoiding pirates most of the time. So there are several different ways that you can make money. And making money at the moment is kind of the basis of the game that's available. You make money, you buy better ships, you fly different places, you make money other ways instead. So if you wanted to have one bounty hunting ship, one hauler ship, one passenger ship, you can do all those things. And just, you know, play how you want to play. Most of the time people are playing specifically for the simulation, though. Because this is nice. Being able to just, you know, fly around and really deal with those little individual things like, how's my fuel? How much speed am I picking up? How much do I, you know, how many stars have I been able to scan down? The fact that you might be a luxury limo flyer for VIPs from one to the next is kind of interesting. And the ships are pretty. Oh, they're pretty. Orcas and whatnot. That's a goal. I'd like to be able to get up and purchase one of those in the system. But unlike Eve, like I was saying, you don't have to have all these skills that you have trained to be able to pick them up. You may have to rep up with a faction, and once you do that, you're done. You can fly it, if you have the money for it. And I think what happened is when I dropped into the system, I was at the faraway star with only one little dinky station around it. So I had to fly to the second star in the system to be able to actually hit some of the bigger stations, like Dalton. About 2 minutes out at 340 times the speed of light. Because the nav computer is set with that blue line in the blue area, it is automatically reducing my speed as I'm getting closer, and then once we get really close, it'll start chunking it down below light speed to where you can safely disengage from Super Cruise and drop into local space. So thank you all for those who have been hanging out in the stream, asking questions, and chatting. It's been interesting and nice to be able to show people this is what I've been playing, even if I don't have the same, you know, looking all over the place Oculus Rift style setup as some of the other streamers that are out there. I just really enjoy, you know, occasionally getting out and doing a little space stream. So we're going to end the stream as we drop off into Dalton and sell off our stuff. And I just know, if I were to get up, walk away during this really long super cruise to go, you know, do something, and then come back, in the middle of that, some pirate would have interdicted me and would have ganked me. That's just going to happen. One of the things I didn't talk about is, if I were running into this station up here at Dalton and I had illicit cargo, there are a couple of different ways that you can go about sneaking your way into the station. One of them is silent running. If you turn on silent running, then it shuts down a lot of your heat-making stuff so that you are less likely to be tracked. You can also go into your modules and shut down absolutely everything. Just switch them off. And when you do that, it will reduce your overall heat signature. There is, on the right-hand side of the console there, above the fuel, there's that little floating line that looks kind of like an audio signal. That is what your heat signature is like for other people that are out there. So if someone's out there scanning, then they could potentially spot you, which is a big problem if you're carrying illicit cargo and you're trying to make your way into a station safely. There are 3 or so different ways to approach that. You can stay about 10 clicks off the station, align yourself with the mail slot, which is the spot to get into the station, gun it towards the station, shut off everything after you do that and pick up speed, and just drift in. And then hope that your heat signature, especially if you have like a heat dispenser, you can shunt off all that heat so you're almost frigidly cold. You don't show up on radar because nothing is on, and you just zip into the station that way. You maybe turn your stuff on right as you're hitting that slot so that you can right yourself and get in that way. Or you can just gun it and try to shoot your way into the station before they scan you down. But that's really dicey, because if they scan you from about 5 clicks out, which is normal, and if you don't get inside fast enough and get docked fast enough, then they'll flag you and either hit you with a really nasty fine, which will make the whole point of smuggling stuff into the station worthless anyway, or they will hit you with a bounty, which again makes it worthless, and they could potentially shoot you out of the sky. Lethal response is pretty common here. If you loiter over someone else's pad, you get shot out of the sky. If you take too long to dock, you get shot out of the sky. If you put in a docking request and you decide nowhere, you don't even go near the station in order to dock, they will shoot you out of the sky. So, air traffic controllers, or space traffic controllers, I guess I should say, are a pretty bloodthirsty lot. Do not get on their bad side. So now we're entering this star's system. Dalton is getting much closer, and we'll be able to drop out of Super Cruise here in a second. You can see the ship's already beginning to slow down. There's a chance, because I've been from so far out, I would have to loop around and make a pass back after yeah, that's probably good. Just a hair too quick. Shed a little speed. And as far as pitch and yaw and all that goes, I had to tweak my settings for my own personal preference. Rolling, I switched to twisting the stick vertically, or horizontally, I guess. Pushing the stick left and right causes me to go left and right like that. And then I, of course, have make a third pass. But we're within the right speed. We just have to get close. Save, disengage, and we drop in a local space. Good old Dalton Gateway. So you can see the billboards that are sticking out from the front of that, which gives you a good idea of where the entrance is, because you can, get advertised stuff on your way in. But if I were trying to hide, I would want to gun it to the right there and get away from the station, and then zoom in. So we're going to start our alignment, request docking, because you also have to do that on the run. Get a docking request in when you get within 7.5 clicks. One thing that's nice, and I know that they didn't have this in the earlier beta, but once you got into the station, because you notice it's turning and I'm having to roll in order to adjust to the spin of the station. When you get into the station here, I'm Document 6. There it is. When you get into the station, that roll isn't a big deal because you are automatically rotating with the station now. That's a feature with the release version of the game. It was not in other versions of the game, I don't
Landing
think.
gear deployed.
So you had to constantly adjust your roll to match the station.
Not to be tolerated. Obey station law and enjoy your stay.
There we go.
Docking successful.
Nice and easy.
Engines disengaged.
The hangar. And let's see if we can sell some of our exploration data. Always refuel. You do not want to get caught not refueling. Nope, still too close. Ekanir is the one that was worth the most. That was with that star we were trying to hunt down, and it is only 11 light years away. So I'm going to have to jump 10 more light years to be able to sell that. Alarai Sector KHV is only 5 light years away, and this one's only 8 light years away. So I have to jump much further out to be able to sell the data, which is kind of a nice, kind of thing. You can explore, jump 20 light years, and keep exploring stuff as you're going along, and it's constantly pushing you forward to keep going out there and finding more stuff. Of course, my last exploration ship was the one I had to blow up because I got stuck in the middle of nowhere with no way to refuel, so you gotta be careful about that too. But this has been Elite, and thank you so much for being with me for the stream, and we are gonna head on out. So you all fly safely.